Hi, folks. I'm Pavi. I'm excited to be here. And I first wanted to say thanks to Preet and team for organizing and coordinating such an impactful event, as always. And I believe we haven't quite met yet. So, a little bit about me before getting into our topic for today. So, I was originally born in Sri Lanka, and my parents brought me to Canada when I was about 8 months. And I currently live with my family, and I have an adorable dog named Benji. And interesting fact, I used to be a biochemist and I pivoted into UX design after hitting a major point of frustration in my career. And I haven't looked back since. And currently, I'm a product designer at Shopify. And when I'm away from work, I like to channel my passions into things like YouTube, meetups, talks, and blogs to really help motivate new creatives to achieve success in their own terms. So let's get right into it. A little bit of a flashback. It's November 2020. I'm assigned to a brand new project, and I volunteered to lead the project from start to end as a challenge. I mean, why not? Let's do it. And when I joined, we didn't have a product manager, and the developers had already started to build something based off of the previous work that they had done. Seems like an ideal situation to walk into, right? And jumping into this part way, I had no idea where to start and what to do. I haven't met the team, and they haven't met me. And I realized I was trying to catch a running train. And there were two things I could have done: maybe continue the ride and take a back seat as a passenger, or halt the train to help redirect it. I was really at a fix. I didn't know the team, as I said, and they didn't know me. And how am I going to get them to trust me and influence change in the way we work? Before that, let me share an analogy. A car is made up of many different components that work together so that the driver reaches their destination. And similarly, a project consists of many teams that are working together to deliver on the project's outcome. So you would have product managers, developers, content writers, UX designers, leads, stakeholders. And a car has a maintenance schedule for each of its components after a mileage checkpoint is reached. But a project is unlikely to have this sort of maintenance schedule for its teams that are actually working on the project after a milestone is reached. So, what are these maintenance schedules that a project needs? I mean, it's different from a car's maintenance, that's for sure, since teams are comprised of humans and not machine parts. So, the maintenance treatment is definitely going to be different. So, back in the days, wow, I'm starting to sound like my parents when I say that. Back in the days, when we were in the office, you'd probably say good morning and greet people as you see them. You might have lunch together with your team, or grab a coffee and chat about life and personal things that aren't really related to work. And remote work has changed this for us. No one really distracts me at my desk apart from Benji occasionally scratching the door. I don't have a desk partner to turn to and say, good morning to. And these days, we really need to make this conscious effort and be intentional to exchange these pleasantries, to really ask how someone's doing. And prior to working remote, I thought about these pleasantries and, chatting about the weather, that is a thing. But this switch really made me realize that these in between conversations are that essential glue that really keeps the team together. And part of what makes us humans is that we're just more than the work we do. And small talk helps us discover who people are outside of their work. Doing this with a team you barely know can seem awkward and daunting at first. It was for me, especially being an introvert. Small talk is something that I struggle with, and I had to exercise this skill so I can get to know my team and, start to grease those wheels to keep things moving. So it initially would start with questions like, how's it going? How was your weekend? But what made a difference for me was remembering what a team member would have said during that conversation. So, for instance, if a team member had told me that they were going to do this wild activity over the weekend, and following up with them the next week and asking them specifically how it went. To influence the team, it's more important to know what they're doing outside of work. We build empathy for the humans using our products. And similarly, empathizing with our team members is just as important. And other things I've tried with the team was also celebrating smaller milestones, but the key there is doing it often. I mean, I didn't really plan anything extravagant. It might just be taking lunch together and chatting, and the rules were that we wouldn't talk about work. Let's pause for a second and think about why we don't do this often enough. It can easily be seen as superfluous and low priority just because of the amount of things that we have to get done from day to day. I actually recall this phrase from Dale Carnegie's book on how to win friends and influence people. It's an old book, and parts of the book are probably debatable now, but there was this one phrase I couldn't forget. Little phrases such as, I'm sorry to trouble you, would you be so kind as to, won't you please, would you mind, thank you. Little courtesies like these oil the cogs of the monotonous grind of everyday life. I mean, it's not like you have to use these exact words, but I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from with these little courtesies. So, what happens when you stop oiling the cogs? It dries up and it ends up hurting itself. Oiling the team bond and having this exchange of courtesies is just as important. And it's these small exchanges that helped keep our team motivated and comfortable to share their perspectives and feedback. Another part to influencing the team is to give team members more authority and have more say in the decision making. The reality is, people innately care about the work they do if given the necessary space. If that space and authority is chipped away, that care evaporates quickly and it becomes purely about work. And this idea is not new. Taiichi Ono, industrial engineer and manager at Toyota, introduced the and-on cord, which authorized every employee on the assembly line to halt production when they noticed a problem or a defect. This eventually led to an efficient production of cars with more reliable quality. So, why not apply this to our projects? Empowering the team to put their hand up and say something when it's not working. So, here are some of the things I've tried to influence that. I frequently, or almost every other day, shared my progress with the developers as I was exploring designs and different ideas. And initially, I found this very uncomfortable because some of these ideas may be half baked. I had the fear that the team would get too attached to an idea or just blow it off completely. But the side effect of doing this was giving the space for early feedback and understanding these constraints and possibilities sooner. And opening up the space for team members to have a say in the work helped me identify these blind spots sooner, as well as during prototyping. And this regular consultation led to more detailed updates to stakeholders about timelines and knowing we needed to pause because of X reason. And I believe this really empowered us to ship something that was less compromised because we discovered these loose ends at the start and just worked on improving it. Several companies have leveraged Toyota's lean practices, such as the Kanban, the Five Whys, and what I just spoke about with the and-on cord. So, why do this? Why empower employees? Because by empowering employees, you let them be humans by caring and taking pride in the work that they do. And as a result of this, you're going to be respected as a team leader for giving your team more authority. And this is something that can't be taught. I mean, how would you make someone care deeply about something they don't physically own? When I was on this project, I originally got caught up with thinking that as someone leading it, all the heavy lifting and responsibility fell on my shoulders. I thought I had to take on everything. But as you can imagine, this quickly caught up with me, and I felt like I was slowly starting to sink. So, what I started to do was take a step back and make space for other folks to come in and own a task in a way of self delegation. So, literally pausing to ask if someone wanted to own the task before quickly throwing up my hand and saying, "Oh, I'll do it." So, One of the practices I started was also encouraging team members to take turns leading retros and syncs, and we would rotate this. And I feel like this instantly made a difference and empower the team to own important aspects of the project. And I truly believe this contributed to the care and effort that went into it. I mean, that's just a part of it. The other half is needing to come from within. That care needs to come from within, which is why I believe ownership isn't a singular word, it's a teamship. Soon enough, I didn't have to be the only person advocating for this project. The team was able to answer UX questions and explain rationale without me having to be in the room every time, like magic. I'm not saying that this is what you need to do to influence a team and ship something you're proud of. This is what I have personally tried and what's worked for me. I mean, what do you have to lose other than an opportunity to learn, right? So, here are some of the major takeaways I have for you. Influence by oiling the cogs or the team bond. So, using those pleasantries we spoke about. And giving the team more authority and say in decision making. So, empowering your team members by making that space for feedback and ownership, or shall I say, teamship. So, I'd love to hear about things that you have tried and your experience with trying any of the things that I spoke about. So, feel free to connect with me on Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube. I'd love to chat about it. So, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, Preet and team.